What you've done is, you know, modern fishing has changed a lot, and
all
you've done is tailor the products to suit.
I mean, the other thing, I mean, before we move on to the rods, I'll just talk a little bit about the mould as well. We've done a mould for them, and obviously both feeders fit the mould.
Yep.
I'll just put
the mould phenomenon.
I'll just put a hook bait on this, so you can see.
Just while you're doing that, what about the weights? The weights, how many?
The weight, they come in 15, 30, 45 and 60 grams.
Oh, lovely.
So there's nothing that you can't cope with there.
Well, as you know, a lot of anglers these days are gluing extra lead onto the bottom and
it's not
the
good.
weights.
It's not good. You just need it as an integral part.
Yeah.
So
the mould then.
You've got your hook bait there. You've got your mould. Now, the other advantage about this style of feeder and this one, where I've left a big gap in the feeder, so that your hook bait can go in. Traditionally, when you've used the mould before,
you put in your hook bait in.
You put your hook bait in. You cover it up with pellets. You turn it round, squeeze the mould, and it pops out. Yeah.
So it's like a cherry on top of the cake sort of thing.
So you've got a cherry on top of the cake, like that, easy. Just take that off. Now, what you can do with this, if the fish are feeding aggressively and they really want to attack your feeder, what I've found is you fill your mould up first.
Yeah.
You put this in. Just put your hook bait on. Fold it over. Now your hook bait on this is right next to your feeder.
Yeah. So you're burying it right underneath all the feed.
It's buried right underneath the feeder. So what advantages it gives you? Fish attack it. They get confident, and then they get your bait.
Yeah.
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 So it's in your bait. Now you couldn't do that if all the hoops were going over the feeder. No. You couldn't do that.
You get your hook bait trapped underneath.
Your hook bait could be trapped.
Hook could be over the loops and everything.
Yeah.
Now
with that's what you can do.
I did also just think, obviously there's a raised lip around here as well, so it will act like a stop for the bait.
Yeah,
so it almost
a stop for the bait, and also if you look at the holes in the side, they help key the bait in. So you've just still got this amount of I don't know what you call it really, just so somewhere for the bait to key in and stay there for as long as it takes for you to cast it.
Yeah, because bait doesn't stick very well to sort of flat surfaces and things like that. Before we move on to the rods, Ricky, there was a couple of other key questions I wanted to ask you about the feeders and the mould. What about the depth of the mould? That's a really important point.
Well, one other thing that my sort of view on method feeder fishing is, on a feeder like this, the objective exercise is to get as much bait in as small an area as possible. So I've seen a lot of other things that are about, and how people have done moulds, and I wanted mine to be quite deep, so you can get a lot of pellets in and you can compact them tight into a small area, rather than have a really shallow mould that only takes a few pellets and you can't really compact it tight. And obviously with the mould being very flexible in all sorts of directions, you can actually squeeze the mould and get them really tight onto that method feeder.
Yeah.
So if you look at this, put the pellets in, you can see how actual deep it is.
You're putting a lot of bait on there.
Put your hook bait in, fold it over, and then squeeze it really tight. Yeah?
Yep.
And then
and the mould just distorts out.
So you can see you're
putting a lot of pellets there.
Compacted a lot of pellets onto a small area, which I think's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what other people think. You can always put less in.
Well, I know a lot of the top match anglers are almost double skinning it, meaning they're moulding it once and moulding it again, twice, so it's a double process. With this,
don't need to do this with this.
And what about the actual size of the feeders? I know you've got 4 weights.
There's going to be 2 sizes. This is going to be what we call the medium size one. Just take that off. Pull that off, as you can see. It sticks on quite well when you've.
Those ribs are just holding it.
Those ribs are holding it on, and it's really in properly tight. This will be the medium one, and there'll be one larger than this. slightly larger. I don't really see the need to go any smaller than this, to be honest.
The larger one will have a mould as well, yeah?
The larger one will have a mould as well. Same sort of principle, same sort of depth, so you can compact a lot of bait onto a small area, as small an area as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Not have a large area with a bit of bait on.
Yeah, got you.
Which I don't think's right.
Well, I know you spent a lot of time perfecting these rods, so how about we take a look at the extra special little edges that you put in?
All right, can do that now then.
So then, Ricky, you've been in this game a lot of years and you've learnt an awful lot about rod design.
Yep.
So what's special about this particular range and what's in it?
Well, first of all, the name suggests it's primarily aimed at commercial carp fishing, or what you would need to do in carp fishing situations, and hence the name Carpmaster. But what it came about, how I sort of developed and came about because I was looking for with the start of being able to throw in a method feeder on a pole line and stuff like that. You tend to be fishing method feeders now a lot shorter. You chuck to islands that are like 20 metres away, 30 metres away. But also now you might chuck a method feeder down the margin.
Yeah.
You might on certain venues you'll chuck it on a pole line.
Yeah. Yeah. So specialist tools for the job.
So yeah, and the rods that I couldn't quite get right tended to be the shorter ones. 8 foot, 9 foot type rods and 10 foot type rods, and I came across the idea that I'll show you in a minute about how to do it. Primarily, manufacturers of rods can build a section up to about 6 feet long. So, bearing that in mind, I thought, right, where do the joints need to be?
Yeah.
And when I sat there thinking about it and looking at how rods are actually made, I sort of realised that for shorter rods, especially, traditionally we wanted to make rods in 2 pieces and fold them in half, but the joints were in the wrong place.
Yeah. So when you were playing a fish, you were getting almost a flat spot.
Yeah, and more so as you got rods shorter in length. So
it was almost the spigot or the joint was almost spoiling the action.
Yeah, it was in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Now, this one here, just put this back at the back of me. I'll talk about the one next to you first. This one here is a 9 foot. There's an 8 foot one to go with it as well, which is perfect. Here, I've been feeding on a pole line and perfect for just underarm casting.
Little lobs.
Yeah. But the beauty of it is by moving things about. Now, bearing in mind what people with rods can do, they can make a section 6 foot long.
Yeah.
Downwards, they can't sort of go above that. So if you think your tip's 18 inches long, your handle's 2 foot long, and you've got the bit in the middle. Yeah. So you take sort of them two away, and you can move the joints. And I didn't quite realise what effect it had, but for carp fishing, especially now, you've got more power here.
Yeah.
So you can cast more accurately. You can play the fish better. Yeah.
You haven't got a bendy section. You've got more control.
You've got loads more control because you've got a spigot joint here. You've got a long section for playing your fish on, and obviously you've got your tip for indication.
Yeah.
So I'd sort of, and it was purely by accident that I sort of worked this out, but it got to the situation. Well, obviously rods that have been built like that before are difficult to store and difficult to put apart. I'll just take this.
One thing I have noticed about this Carpmaster range of rods is the distance from the butt ring to the reel.
Yes.
I presume that's what you're just going to...
I'm just going to show you now. Just take this feeder off.
Yep.
As though I was going to actually put the rod away. Clip it off my hand. Yeah.
Yep.
So
we've got 3 sections.
You've got 3 sections, just like you would have with any other rod, but we've moved things about for a reason. If you think about it, you want power in the butt, you play or cast with the middle part, and the tip is there for indication. So you've got 3 distinct jobs that the rod has to do in certain areas. Now, if your rods are in 2 parts, and you collapse them down, your tip, if it's been left in your bag for a week or it's under tension, takes a set.
Yeah.
If it's a glass tip, and you come back and you
look like you permanently got a bite with you.
So what you do with this, you take it down, take your tip off, wind your line up. So first of all, your tip is never under tension when you're storing it away. So it's perfect, it'll come out straight every time. Yeah? Now
that's something a lot of anglers probably don't even realise.
No. So it's perfectly straight when you come to fish with it next time. Now you mentioned about the rod, the first guide being here. And what I wanted to do is to try and make it less awkward than it was before to store it.
So the butt ring almost lines up perfectly with the spool.
On all the rods lines up with the front of the spool. So now all you need is some mechanism to put these together. And this is what I
refer to as the plug.
The plug. Yeah, this is what I came up with. And it's a piece of EVA. And basically, you slide your rod in there.
Yep. So let's have a look at that in its finished state then. And it's job done, no bands, no messing.
No, you don't need any bands, you don't need anything like that. And if you just want to tighten it up or tension it a bit, all you need to do is just twist it like that.
Oh, and it draws the sections.
And it draws the sections together. So you...
Straight in the rod bag.
Straight in the rod bag, done.
Nothing, no chance of anything getting broken.
No chance of anything getting broken, it's perfect. And all because things are in the right place on the rod.
Yeah.
And, you know, you might say, oh, it's just a way of putting it together, but in essence, when you get there, when you've had your rods in a bag for a week and your tip comes out and it's bent, and it's not right, you don't want that. So your tip's always straight. The guides are always in the right place in reference to the length of the butt.
Yeah.
But also when you're actually playing a fish, and especially caught with short rods, I mean basically all we've done in the past is sort of stepped up what were traditionally bomb rods.
Yeah.
In the 10 foot, 9 foot, whatever it may be.
They've now become the main tool.
But with this, they have. But with this range of rods, especially the feeder rods, you've now got everything where you want it on the rod. You've got more power in the butt to help you cast, to help you play fish bigger. Because I mean, you come to somewhere like this, one cast you might catch a skimmer a pound. The next one it'll be a carp 10 pound.
Yeah. And that power here is helping.
And that power here helps you. You've still got the playing action, so that your hook doesn't pull on the skimmers. But you've got the power here to be able to keep that carp under control.
Yeah.
And all of them are the same. The 8 foot, the 9 foot and the 10 foot version have all been built on that principle. So you can all break them down, you can put them like this. I mean, there's a dedicated 12 foot method feeder rod as well, which is for like casting 50, 60, 70 yards, which is done on the same principle. Power in the butt, fish playing action in the middle, and obviously your bite registration in the tip.
And what about tips? Does it come with a variety?
Comes with 2 tips. Each rod comes with 2 tips, a 3/4 ounce and an ounce one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So just briefly summarise the Carpmaster range for me then. We've got an 8.
You've got an 8 foot, in the feeder rods, you've got an 8 foot, a 9 foot and a 10 foot. Obviously the 8 and 9 foot are for what I would call either fishing down your margins or underhanding to a pole line, or fishing islands up to 25 metres.
Yeah.
After that, and the rung like this with these guides because I think these are the right guides. You don't want it too free flowing.